another episode of R&R. I am your host, Jamerson Ballard. Shout out to the Rand Gang, the Capital Letter Club. Happy Monday, everybody. What's going on, man? We back with another one. And it's not exactly like the other one, but we still in here dropping game for those of you who might be a little bit lame to the fact that, you got to do some self-recognition, man, before you can get out here on this mission, man. Definitely got to understand who you are in this game, man. All right, so this is like episode number 18, which is 17. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. And we still pushing this hard line, man. You know what I'm saying? Last episode we talked about harmony. What's up, nephew? Talked about harmony, and one of the things that we have to do in order to get along with one another is to understand who we are and what role we play. But some of us don't really love ourselves a lot, and we tend to let toxic people in. And this episode is going to be dealing with a lot of that, like, kind of, we're going to call it jealousy versus envy, right? And how to prevent it, and how to recognize it, and even maybe how to use it, you know what I mean? Because so jealousy and envy is two different things. Is a trait of some toxic individuals, and some of us might be guilty of these things without really knowing it, just to be real. So, like, all right, let's deal with the definitions of both right quick, which ain't really that much, but then we'll go into each one individually, right? Because we have to recognize what's going on before we can, figure out how to fix it. So, jealousy is when you're worried that someone will take what you have. Envy is one what someone else has. Seems simple, right? But let's just deal with the jealousy factor first, because in order to be jealous, it seems like to me it has a lot to do with feeling, and since it's worried about somebody taking what you have, the first thing you got to really understand is can't nobody take nothing that's not really yours. If it's yours, can nobody have it? And if you're jealous of somebody else's thing, it's mainly because you might not be exactly aware of what your gifts are, or you are focused on somebody else outside of yourself too much. In this life, man, we run in races, and in Ecclesiastes it talks about chasing your own tail, and a lot of being envious of other people or just trying to compete with somebody else and what they have or what they got going on, right? But we're dealing with jealousy first. So jealousy is just mainly about not being afraid. And so in order to do that, we just gotta sometimes put on blinders and run our own race. You know what I'm saying? And when you lose sight of, well, I'm still mainly probably dealing with envy more, but I'm saying, like, with jealousy, you just gotta be aware of what your gifts are, what you have, and not be afraid to lose anything. Because, like I said, when it's yours, you can't nobody take it, whether it be a woman or a talent or an ability. And you just gotta hone in on what's going on. What's going on, lady? What's happening? You gotta be aware of what your gifts are, man. And don't be afraid, man. Because, me again, I believe in, Jesus and in God, or Yeshua. And it's just, he didn't give us a spirit of fear. You understand what I'm saying? We didn't You know what I mean? So I mean, but there is a way to use fear to your advantage, because being in the capital letter club is not being absent of fear altogether, but we want to try to use it to our advantage. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you're doing everything that you can in your life to be the best you that you can be, and you still aren't getting what you think you deserve from the opposite sex, or the your life partner, then it might be clear that they're not yours. You know what I'm saying? But too oftentimes we get involved in people who may be toxic, and by the time you understand that they're toxic or they're with you for the wrong reasons, it's too late. But there are some things that we can do to kind of prevent things from getting too far before we, in that, before we, can recognize it. But that has a lot to do with, you know, either asking the better questions, or just, not necessarily being on the defensive, but just being more attentive to what's going on outside of what a person is saying to you. So you're watching for body language and other clues that might tell you that this person ain't necessarily for you. You know what I mean? Because if they not really engaged, or some of the questions they might ask might not necessarily be things that are the best for what's going on with you and now, or they're not in the here and now. You just mainly physically attracted to this person, or you might just be enamored by what they have to say about you, because they have been developing these toxic tendencies since they were young. You know what I mean? They just haven't been, like, they're not going to come out right and tell you they're toxic. You know what I mean? Sometimes a person might be too giving on the front end of that, and that might be because they are trying to overcompensate for something else. And if you're not aware of what you need or what you're trying to do, or you trying to do something that's not necessarily great for you at the time, because you're trying to cope with something you haven't done what you're supposed to do to be, more in love with yourself, or more aware of what you got going on, and you too eager to be involved with somebody else, it's a lot easier to trick you, because you're not going to be paying attention to a person's body language, how they not really engaged in a conversation with you. They constantly looking at who else is involved, or they in their phone, or on their phone too much, doing what might be a date. You know what I mean? You just like the fact that they have nice eyes, or that they're tall, or that she got a nice ass, or and that is a lot of your own fault, if we're honest, because again, we attract what we are. So if you got somebody that's not cool for you, it's because you haven't done enough work before you started getting into these things, and you've accepted something, and now you done already had sex with this person, and now you got a baby with this person, and then you mad because y'all not necessarily compatible down the line, because now you came into some hard times and you see who this person really is. That's scary, man. The other aspect, though, is the envy thing, and some of these people want what you have. You know what I mean? If you're not really aware of how good you got it, you might not necessarily be loving the person that you have the way that you should be, and you're neglecting them, or you did a lot on the front end to get this person, and now you scared you might lose them because somebody else is envious of what you have, and they come in and they pour on things, compliments, etc., to get the person off from under you, and now you're dealing with jealousy because you're afraid of you might lose what you have, and you have someone that's envious of the woman or the job or whatever, and they come in and they swoop in and they attempt to take it. But again, if you're doing everything that you can to keep your program going, to be the best person you can be. At the end of the day, you shouldn't have nothing to worry about, and you shouldn't be scared for your spouse to leave the house because you're scared or somebody's gonna take her or him. And that's kind of crazy, man. It's really kind of crazy how people get involved with things not really knowing what they should or shouldn't be doing before they get into it. Now, like I said, the envy part is a little scarier because if somebody wants what you have. Now, if somebody wants what you have, that just means that you might not necessarily be altogether aware of how good you got it, and you just need to take a step back and just be happy or content with what you got going on, man. Because there's always somebody that has it worse. You know what I'm saying? There's always somebody that has it worse, and if you find yourself getting upset or envious of what somebody else has, you might just need to take a step back and just be grateful for what you got going on. Your health, you have a place to live. You know what I mean? You got a job. You might not have as much money as this person has, but you got enough to get by, and you've overcome a certain amount of obstacles, and you just need to be grateful for that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I said, this time of year, it's a lot of people who might be a little bit depressed. They might not have enough family around, or you might be in an area where you by yourself, and you have to be happy that you surviving right now in an area where you ain't got a lot going on, instead of you being worried about who's not there for you or what you would be doing if you were in your own, your own hometown, etc., etc. You're in college, you got things going on. What's going on, everybody? That's good. That's good that you just need to take a step back and not be so worried about what somebody else got, but just focus on what you got going on and be happy for that, man. Because it's a lot to be grateful for on a day-to-day. You know what I mean? People are in prison. There's people that don't have nobody. There's people that, have not as much this or that. And, for me, it's sometimes people, oh, you're so tall, and this and this and that. You know what I mean? And they want to kick it with me because they feel like I'm tall, and they want to live vicariously through me, or they want me to be some type of security mechanism for them. And I don't necessarily like that. So a preventative measure for me is just, it's kind of staying to myself. But I'm not, no man is an island. Nobody is, by themselves out here. Nobody can make it by themselves. Everybody needs other people from time to time. So we just have to be, aware of the fact that, we all need people, and but you don't want to be so needy that you're accepting anybody. Man, I appreciate that. Was it Third Ward Malk? Man, I appreciate that, bro. And man, what's happening? You know what I mean? Because it ain't like my platform is huge, but I appreciate every single person that comes in and shares and likes this. And, because it's just like, there ain't a lot of people talking about what I'm talking about, but, like I said, a lot of people are more focused on, like, relationships and things of that nature. But there are some things you can do to keep yourself from being in these horrible relationships because, you did it. You did it to yourself by accepting some of these people without really asking the right questions. And then, now you're afraid, and you have all these anxieties, and you have kids with these people. And that's scary, man. That's scary, man. But like I said, it's not impossible to get away from some of that and do the work to kind of heal yourself and move on with your life, because life is precious. You know what I mean? It's too precious to be struggling and mad at somebody else, because a lot of people at these jobs, man, a lot of these bosses, I recognize a lot of people, they don't be happy with what they got going on in their own life, and so they come to jobs and they kind of bully people and tear people down. And that's a small-minded person. If you kind of person is doing that, man, cut that out, man. That's not cool, man. That's not cool if you don't have control of what's going on at your house and you come to the job and you throw your weight around and try to make other people's life miserable. You know what I mean? But there are things that you can prevent or do to prevent people from having that kind of effect on you. And that means just kind of not taking things so personal. You know what I'm saying? Understand that you might be dealing with somebody that don't necessarily have control of what's going on in their life, and not letting them bother you. What's going on, bro? And not letting them bother you with their shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? You know, again, we'll let people into our lives, and a lot of people, you know, kind of compliment their way in and try to give you things. All right, for sure, bro. But it's a lot of people that do things, and like I said, they don't really come out with the fact that they toxic. But by the time you recognize that they toxic, they've already kind of gotten into your life. You know what I'm saying? And envious people kind of do that too. Like I said, they see that you have something that they don't have, and they try to get closer to you. You know what I mean? A lot of things like I'll do a thank you, but no thank you. That's kind of one of my favorite phrases. I'll start with a player fry, eat steak with a square. Now it was an incident. I don't know if y'all seen it, whereas a dude, a white dude, I think his name was Kelpie the P, and he got beat up by Almighty Suspect, which was out in L.A. for calling bro out his name, and but I went back a little bit further and seen that there's another guy named T-Rail that got into it with Almighty. I guess he brought Almighty Suspect into the No Jumper podcast, and when they were getting into it, he brought up the fact that, I brought you into this, and I'm not trying to shit on T-Rail or Almighty Suspect or even Kelpie, because these things happen. As far as like the T-Rail Almighty situation, I mean, I try to do things to prevent myself from having to feel like somebody is doing something for me, and then I need to give them, some kind of accolades, or I got to boss down and, show them more than they deserve because I'm asking them to do something that I can't do for myself. This is why I started this podcast and started my own platform, because I'm not really willing to kiss no ass to get where I'm trying to go. If I realize that as a person that is a little bit more intelligent than some of my counterparts, whether it be my boss or whatever, I mean, yeah, I still have to play my part, because you can't, let me see, what's the way I'm looking. It takes a good follower to be a good leader. So, I mean, I'm not finna overplay my role by trying to overtalk or tell this person how smart I am. I'm just gonna let them run the program the way they run it. And if they ever run into a problem and they open the suggestions, I'll make suggestions. And if they take the suggestion and it works out, that's great. And I hope that they be aware of the fact that that I deserve credit on that, but I'm not altogether worried about how much credit they gonna give me. I know within myself that what I contributed to this process, and then I just understand my value, and now I can take these skills that I have and put them towards owning my own situation and be a better boss when it becomes my time to be a boss to somebody else. But I can't run your program inside your program. It's like if you're a dude that live with your mama and you understand that your mom sometimes makes bad decisions and you think that you smarter than her, you can't run her house in her house. You got to get out and then run your own program and maybe show her through that you have something to contribute to her or your father's situation. But or if you're a wife and you know that you might be a little more smarter than your husband on certain circumstances, not necessarily all, you still got to play your part. You know what I'm saying? And as a man, if you are in a position with a woman that might be a little more intelligent than you in certain circumstances, it would behoove you to allow her to run point on that. And that doesn't take away from you as a leader. You don't have to try to demean her or degrade her because she makes more money than you, but she leans on you for advice in certain circumstances, and you just understand where your strengths are, and y'all still are able to coexist without you trying to beat on her or tear her down to make her feel like less of a person so you feel like more of a man. That's very small-minded. And if you're a dude out there doing that, shame on you. And if you're a woman who might not have had, you know, the leadership role at one point in the relationship, and now things have changed, and you are in a position to call shots because you may be making more money, shame on you if you're trying to make your man feel like less of a man because he is not the breadwinner in that circumstance. He's still your man. And if you tearing him down to make yourself feel better, you're positioning yourself to lose that man. And that's not healthy. They might need to do some things, some soul searching, to understand that, you know, just because you running things right now don't necessarily mean it's going to stay like that forever. So it's no point in you being jealous of somebody that has more than you have right now. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, things don't stay that way forever. The person that was the most popular in school when you was in high school might not necessarily be somebody on top right now. You see them 5 or 10 years later, 20 years later, and now you got the Benz or the whatever, and they looking at you like, wow, man, you doing great. Yeah, I appreciate that. But that don't mean I'm finna, you know, squat on you now that you're not, you know what I mean, what I thought you should have been. You know what I mean? We just gotta, you know, be better people, man. Because it's, you know, on the individual level, and hopefully whenever we do get in the team, that we not, you know, trying to clamor to make ourselves feel more important than we are. You know what I mean? It's up to you to know what you have, you know, what your value is, and to be mindful of that, and don't let envy or jealousy corrupt your relationships. You know what I mean? But I think there is a way to be healthy. Let me see. There is a way to be or use jealousy in a healthy way, or not even jealousy. I'll say, I guess, fear, and that, you know, you don't want to be to where you're crippled by fear. You just want to understand that there's always somebody that wants your position, and you don't get comfortable, because comfort is the enemy of success. You understand what I'm saying? It's always a new group of people, you know, that's coming up behind you. And, you know, as an older cat that's in music or in the industry or whatever, it's not going to be good for you to be jealous of them because they're coming up with something. You know what I mean? But there are other tactics that people use to kind of try to control things. And, you know, we call it controlled opposition, where somebody might see you coming and, you know, instead of being jealous of you coming, they kind of maybe buy you out, or they invest in your situation to the point to where now you kind of owe them in a way. And so that's where, for me, thank you but no thank you comes into play, because I don't necessarily want nobody to feel like I owe them nothing. You know what I mean? And if I am nice to you, it's out of the kindness of my heart. I don't necessarily like when people try to take my kindness for weakness, because it doesn't make you weak. You understand? You know, I am an admirer of God's word, and that I've learned to you know, see how things are from a person like David's perspective. Now, David became the new king of Israel, and Saul was upset with that, and he tried to kill David on a few occasions, but David would never kill him in return, because he understood that would be disrespectful for him to try to slaughter who God chose to lead. You know, and instead of Saul understanding that he would be the leader of this great country until his death, he hated how much people admired David, and that's scary, man. You know what I mean? There's no need for that. And you still got plenty of years to make your legacy better. But instead of you focused on that, you focused on how somebody coming up behind you might be, you know, better suited for the job, and you start trying to hate on them or get them fired, you know, before they, because a lot of times you will be training your replacement on these jobs. You know what I mean? In the animal kingdom, a lot of lions, they'll kill off a male lion that they a male cub before they get old enough to challenge them, because that's what people do. I mean, that's the nature of things. You know what I mean? People get ahead of themselves. They, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So people try to, you know, take things before their time, and a lot of times we just gotta wait our turn, man. Play your part the best you can. Wait your turn to get involved, and when it's your turn, do your thing. But don't be hating on people, because, me personally, I like to use hate to my advantage. You hear somebody hating on me, it's probably because they scared, and if they telling you that I ain't this, I ain't that, it's because, they're afraid of the fact that when you get to see me, or they try to get ahead of me and tell you how I ain't shit, and when you meet me and you see that I'm a kind individual, it throws all of their hatred out the window, and it makes them seem like a weirdo. And I appreciate it, man. I appreciate my haters, man. Shout out to all my haters, man. Sometimes you can do things to you might need to get you some more haters. You know what I mean? Because they like my little billboards. You know what I'm saying? They try to get ahead of me and tell people that I ain't shit, and I almost love it now at this age. It's like, yeah, I can't wait to prove you wrong, bro. I can't wait to prove you wrong. So, what I mean, I almost look forward to things like that. But I've done a lot of work to kind of keep toxic people away from me. I wasn't always like that, because, I want to be accepting of people at face value, but a lot of people are, not gonna be who they are right off, and so you just gotta set up some fail safes, man. Keep yourself from being so thirsty for companionship by loving yourself and being okay with being by yourself. Do some meditation and understand why it is you select some of the people you selected to be in your life, why some of the people in your life are in your life, and what happened earlier in your life to make you more accepting of some of the things that you've accepted, so that you don't keep falling into the same pitfalls, man. Because it's not a race, man. It's definitely a marathon, man. The people who were on top in the beginning, like in the earlier parts of your life, dude might have got a mustache before you, might have got a Mustang before you, and then he lose everything. It ain't got no give back. But you have things that, are attributes that keep you in the game. You know what I mean? You might have blossomed a little bit later, and now it's your turn. And it's just, you have to be careful with how you treat people, man, while you up, because them people will be the same ones you see on the way coming down. And these are just a couple clues on how to not be so gullible. You know what I mean? And not be so, just accepting of people at face value, because I'm here to tell you, man, it's not a whole lot of people, but there is a percentage of people who will compliment their way into your life, figure out how you do things, and then 6 months later, they're trying to destroy you because they were always scared of you. You taking a man, or you being the kind of dude to take their woman, so they befriend you, so that you'll feel like they owe you something, or you owe them something, so that you won't be, trying to take from them later. That man's scared of you, bro. He complimenting you too much on the front end, or her on too much on the front end, and telling you how beautiful you are, and then, now she trying to steal your man or whatever, or see if she can. That's weird, man, but there's people like that. You know what I mean? People who will be friends with you just so they can borrow your grill later, or, see how much they can find out about your girl, or, you know what I mean? So it's not to make people paranoid. It's just that, like I said, there's some things that you can do to kind of check out people's motives, and, strengthen up your some of your things on the front end, so that you don't be dealing with a lot of bull crap on the back end. You know what I mean? So, I didn't mean to be too long. Like I said, man, it's holiday season again, and still it's actually Sagittarius season now, and so it's gonna be a lot of turning up, But it's finna be, some people getting heartbroken around this time of year. You know, please, if you can't control your spouse, that does not mean you have to destroy this person. Some of you feel like if I can't have you, nobody can have you. I've seen a great deal of people get hurt or killed by their spouse during this time of year, and that's spooky, man. But an ounce of prevention to be the pound of cure every time, man. So, like I said, be good to yourself first, and a lot of times you can show people how to love you by how you love yourself. But if you so concerned with other people loving you, and you need love so much that you can't love yourself, and you're going to attract toxic people that don't have as much as you have, but they see value in what you do have, and they gravitate towards you because they want what you got, and you have no clue how good you got it. Don't be like that, man. Don't open yourself up to that nonsense by being so, ignorant of how blessed you are in a way. All right, so I guess that'll be all for today. My name is Jamerson Ballard. Please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube. It's also on Facebook. Jamerson Ballard is the name. Shout out to the Rand Gang and the Capital Letter Club. My Cash App is $SuperStee. But it's definitely not about the money. But if I said anything that's helped you in a way, and I appreciate that. But you guys have a great day and a magnificent week. And yeah, thank you.